Hi guys, I'm just wanted to get back to the people that were curious about doing a aquaponic system. I have a 300 gallon approximately 8 by 9 foot circumference and a 2.5 to 3 foot deep hole for them to hide in. I had aeration. I have been a fish keeper before, and I have a lot of supplies on me. Not all the supplies I needed, but what happened is we had a heat wave come through with high humidity. The pond had been exposed to the sun a little bit. I wanted it exposed to get a little bit more algae because my pond had very, very little algae, as a matter of fact. And I wanted to build it up a little so the fish could come in. I introduced 10 large 4-inch feeder fish, so that would make 20 fish, which is appropriate because the little ones I have are millimeters big. They're tiny. So there was enough room. Everybody's happy. System was going, but when the heat wave came, it was oppressive. It was overcast. It was high humidity, and it absolutely sucked the air out of the system. What happened is it gassed up. It started to build up. The oxygen dropped really quickly. Within a night, I lost a fish. So I did some running around, scrambling around, and trying to figure out what was the problem, because there's a combination of things that could happen. Ammonia nitrate. I didn't have my kit. So I guess worked it, and I decided to shock it with what hydrogen peroxide 3%. I looked up the ratios. I chucked it in there. Also, it was starting to get a smell. The pond was getting kind of a sulfury, a pondy smell, whatever that is. It's kind of an odor. It has a certain odor when it gets dirty, and I recognized that, okay, this is probably going to be my first rescue mission. So I let it sit. I've been spending all day filling it to see if that would solve the problem, and then I wait an hour and see how the fish are doing. They're gasping. So after 4 hours of the fish kind of we all trying to get it together here, I decided to, after the peroxide and everything and the salt I put in there and the sludge remover, I decided, okay, this is an emergency. So I decided to take about 15 gallons out by bucket and just chucked it in the garden and filled it up. And again, if you know fish, and I'm a fish keeper, so I do know a little bit about tank fish, freshwater. I do know the behaviors, what it looks like, some of the basics, swim bladder, constipation, the fungus, things like that. I knew by the smell that it was just a dirty pond, and I knew that the oxygen just dropped really quickly. So I took the 15 gallons out, just threw it out, and I put a garden hose, of course using dechlorinator, and just plummeted it, so it was just, the air was flying and fish were almost flying out of there, but there was just a lot of action going on. I had 2 pumps going, by the way, so before you say, what are you doing, you're an idiot, no, I had 2 pumps going, and my water changes were only 2 weeks ago. I did 50% before I added these fish. So, warning, 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 summer, any kind of toxic gases that get up into your fish. If you add fish, if you add bigger fish, if the conditions change, if the water warms up suddenly, or you get too much algae, all these things can happen, and you can lose a fish. Literally 24 hours, you can lose your whole stock. So my warning to you is hydrogen peroxide is an emergency situation for biological ponds, meaning ponds without filtration, which mine is. May change that, by the way, but right now it's so small, I'm just going to do water changes. I highly recommend people with temperatures of 95, people in the south, or people, well, anywhere where there's high humidity, 90 or above weather pattern for 3 or 4 days, you're going to lose your stock. You just are. So you really need to be very careful. Water changes more often in the summer. I'm going to do weekly, top it off often. Watch for your algae. I have low algae, so shade it. I had it shaded for a long time. I just opened it up to get a little bit of algae growth, and they're eating the algae. Don't feed your fish when they're going through all this stuff. Let everything settle down. They won't starve. They'll eat the algae. Give them 3 days off. Let them poop, and get it. If they're constipated, the salt will help them, and they won't starve. So they're not koi. I don't know about koi. I know nothing about koi. But water change, water change, water change. All right. I did not continue doing the aquaponic experiment because it won't work in this heat environment, period. It won't. I've actually moved the plants, which are still in the water containers, I've moved them to another tub separately from the fish, and they're struggling too. So this is a situation to do with this type of farming fishing, so to speak. I hope this helps anybody who's starting out so you don't lose your fish and you don't lose your mind. It's been an all-day project. I think they're all squared away. Wish me luck. Thanks very much. Thanks for coming. Bye.